Alright, welcome back. Natsuhi could be found in a dimly lit hallway. Now and then, the thunder would crash, but this had no effect on her expression. Probably because she perpetually has a headache. She looked completely worn out. The discussion that had just taken place between the relatives in the dining hall was repeating itself inside Natsuhi's mind, just like this game. The game is actually just Natsuhi's mind over and over. Beatrice had proclaimed that in addition to the gold, all of the inheritance and property of the Ushiromiya family would be given to the person who could solve the riddle, as we have heard 50 times now. In other words, take a shot, she planned to undermine the absolute guarantee that Kraus, as the oldest brother, had to succeed the family head. Originally, the other siblings had absolutely no chance to inherit the headship. To them, this proposal by Beatrice was extremely desirable. It was obvious that they would accept it. There was no need to play some clumsy detective game. Natsuhi knew that this so-called 19th person, Beatrice, couldn't exist. Naturally, Beatrice was nothing more than a fictional character used to pass the message that Kinzo had written himself. As proof, Kinzo had remained stubbornly neutral as to the letter's authenticity. He was completely ignoring these reckless claims that he shouldn't be able to ignore, that he had given up the head's ring. In short, take a shot, Kinzo had wordlessly admitted that the letter held his own message. Most likely, one of the servants had given Maria the letter. Kinzo had probably worked out an elaborate plan where the dress from the portrait would be prepared, and someone, probably Shannon, would be made to wear it and deliver the letter and the umbrella. Telling you it was Genji. Genji's looking damn fine in that dress. By doing that, he could make it seem like the witch from the portrait actually existed. It's Genji. No. If anything, that alone was proof that Kinzo was behind all this. In that case, it was the same as Kinzo trying to butt in on the siblings' private discussion. I mean, even if that were true, it's his money, he could do whatever the hell he wants with it. Then Kinzo, by announcing that he'd give everything to the person who solved the riddle, could weaken Kraus's overwhelming advantage. Earn it, or get out. Simple as that. How about that? Now it was certain. Kinzo had eavesdropped on the siblings' discussion in the parlor earlier that day. And what if he did? So he had known how Kraus had staved off the attack by the other three. And to make the scales of the battle go back into balance, he had sent out this strange letter, which benefited Kraus's rivals. He was trying to push this crazy theory so that Rosa, who had a weak position among the siblings, because of her age, would join with Eva and Rudolph. Then, with a 3-to-1 advantage, they'd be able to overwhelm Kraus yet again and make their ridiculous theories get accepted by force. It's not how that works. And by doing that, he gave them the power to resettle what had once been a nearly decided conflict. They had now started repeatedly pressing Kraus to pay them a large amount of money. Using the condition that all of the siblings would guarantee Kraus's position as the successor, we've been through this. Talk about advance payments was being brought up again despite having been rejected once. Of course, even without the story about the hidden gold, the Ushiromiya family's store of wealth was vast. The store of wealth alone was more than anything. Even if the hidden gold was buried forever along with Kinzo's death, there would be more than enough to satisfy. Therefore, even if they weren't that interested in the gold itself, Kinzo had managed to instill the lifelong fear that, on the off chance that someone found the gold, that person would be granted the headship. Come on, Maria-chan! And this kind of Achilles heel would definitely be taken advantage of by someone sooner or later. The only person with this fatal weakness was the successor, Kraus. The other siblings had found... No, they had been told by Kinzo about something that only Kraus could lose, and they had thoroughly taken advantage of that. Natsuhi, as Kraus's only ally in his painful position and as his wife, wanted to fight alongside him. She kept trying to explain to him that the existence of the gold itself was a farce and that there was no need for him to compromise. Kraus had always told Natsuhi. He had told all of the siblings. He always said that the hidden gold was nothing more than an illusion created by Kinzo. Therefore, Natsuhi had believed it as his wife and had supported her husband on that foundation. Even so, Natsuhi's words didn't reach Kraus. Even though Natsuhi had fought so hard and had led all of her strength, he continued to fight by himself and was trying to compromise with the other 3 siblings. Natsuhi sadly and weakly wondered why she could be of no use to him, then started getting angry. "Take it out on him. You go, girl." It had happened when everyone decided to take a short break to cool their heads. Natsuhi had flared up against Kraus. Enraged, she had asked why she could not be useful to him. He had then told her that he wanted to talk about something and invited her into a room that she was normally not allowed to enter. Ooh. That room had been sealed with a heavy-looking padlock, and just looking at it had given her an uncomfortable feeling. "It's not a sex dungeon, is it?" Ooh, she's angry. "There's no need for you to worry about anything said by those 3, or even this suspicious person who calls herself Beatrice. After all, the gold is just a ruse created by father. There's no way something like that could be found. Your position as the successor is a solid fact. What are you afraid of? You tell him." "Girl." Kraus removed the padlock on the door. He then motioned for Natsuhi to enter. "Enter." "What is this?" "There's something I want you to see. It's my private sex dungeon." "I've never shown you this before." Natsuhi timidly opened the door with a dubious expression on her face. It was pitch black. She searched for a switch to turn on the lights, but since this was her first time in the room, she didn't know where it was. Kraus entered behind her, pushing her in, and when he closed the door before turning on the lights, the 2 were swallowed up by the darkness. Indeed, only the sound of Kraus locking the door rang out through the dark. "What are you doing? The lights." "I am turning them on." This went in a whole different direction than what I was expecting. Wait. There we go. Okay. Just as he said, when Kraus pushed a switch on the wall, a flickering light turned on and lit up the room. That is... Natsuhi had her breath taken away. It's so huge. The room had no windows, and at a glance it appeared to be empty. In the middle of the room, a small round table had been set, and the lights brightened only that table, as if it were the leading part in a play. Whew. On top of the table, a red tablecloth of elaborate design had been set out, covered with dust. And on top of that, something, quotation marks, about the size of a grown man's arm had been set down. "Natsuhi-san's in for a night." Whew. That something took Natsuhi's breath away. Whew. "Girl, are you ready?" Oh, probably not what she was expecting, but... It's a gold ingot of incredible purity. Without this, no one would have believed in the legend of the gold. It was an ingot of solid gold, as we literally just said. Even in the faint light, it sparkled with a noble and dignified glint. Whew. This is not a proper ingot. I don't even know whether it was cast inside or outside the country. Doesn't matter. It took a high level of skill to make the purest of solid gold ingots. And in order to verify that purity, it was standard to have the original foundry and the name of the bank that guaranteed it imprinted on the gold. However, this ingot did not have that kind of seal, because it's magical. This mysterious gold bar had come from an unknown foundry. Look here. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's just a bar of gold. Natsuhi, following Kraus's words, timidly approached the ingot. Right there. Kraus pointed to the surface of the ingot. Natsuhi concentrated on that section. Exclamation points. Right there was the thin imprint of the one-winged eagle crest. Natsuhi's breath was taken away once again. That's right. This is the legendary ingot that father said he received from the witch, that the president of Marusu witnessed and was allowed to select at random to take back with him. That gained the trust of the fixers in the business world. I had to use all possible means to find it. I found it before the other siblings could. How could, then, the legend of father's gold is? It actually exists. The gold that Ushiromiya Kinzo received from Beatrice actually exists. Well, assuming that, I had come I'm 9 hours in now? Yeah, I had kind of figured that the gold existed. Impossible. So, it really does exist, as I just said 3 times now. Natsuhi was shocked. Kraus had always said that Kinzo's gold was just a fabrication. Her life has been a lie. So she had believed it as his wife. However, the reality was different. Since he held definite proof, he had been more certain than any of the other siblings that the legend of the gold was true. Because of this, Kraus was deeply frightened at the possibility that someone other than himself could find the gold he failed to find, costing him everything. Some of these sentences are really long. But to Natsuhi, this truth was more than enough to split open her heart. She had thought that, as Kraus's wife, she should be his closest confidant, which was why she had selflessly supported him. Oh, and yet he had hid this fact from her until today. Why? Have I been so undeserving of your trust? That has never been my intention. There was simply no need to tell you. Is that all a wife means to you? Calm down. Becoming passionate easily is one of your bad habits. Oh. Bitch slap that man. You're the one who's making me like that, aren't you? I've been supporting you as a wife ever since I married into this family. For your sake, I threw away the family I was born into, and I've been offering up my heart and my body to serve you. Ooh. And in return, this is what I get. How could you? Go off, girl. Kraus grimaced, looking annoyed. His expression effectively communicated how much he disliked this part of Natsuhi, even if he didn't say it out loud. Smash him with the gold. It doesn't look like I will be of any use to you anymore. That's fine. Whatevs. I can resolve the troubles with the siblings by myself. Dang, that is a cold marriage. I don't need your help. Oh, that was not the right answer. Look at that face. That's wrong. This is the Ushiromiya family's problem. It's true that I am not permitted to wear the family crest on my body, but I am still your wife. Even so, are you saying I'm not capable of helping you? Are you? I especially wouldn't want to risk getting you involved. It would probably make your headaches even worse than they are now. Take a rest for today. Hoo-wee. The siblings will deal with the siblings' problems. It has nothing to do with... Oh, that is all. Dang. Smash him with the gold. And then run off. A dull headache tormented Natsuhi. No matter what medicine she took, no matter what scent she burned, it wouldn't heal. It's because you're married to a giant douchebag. In fact, simply wandering alone through the dark corridors and listening to the sound of the rain seemed to be a better cure. Listening to the rain is very peaceful, yes. I approve. I may be Natsuhi, but I was never Ushiromiya Natsuhi. I have been despised and treated as a borrowed womb, and insulted when I couldn't even fill that role. Even so, I have tried to properly perform my duties as a wife, but now, even my husband has rejected me. Is she gonna go nuts? 'Cause I'm down with that. I've done my best raising my daughter, as if it were the last job left to me. However, I've had no release for my anger and sadness, and they've caused me to subconsciously strain that relationship too. Very healthy family. Because I've been excessively strict in Jessica's education, she dislikes me thoroughly. She despises me for having no interest in anything but grades. There is no longer anything I can do for the Ushinomiya family. No, that's no good. Despite it all, I must help my husband and beat back the schemes of the other greedy siblings. The family head won't be around much longer. Eventually, Kraus will succeed the head, and the next successor will be Jessica. Strictly speaking, the man who enters the family by marrying Jessica will become the next head, but it all comes to the same thing. I have to make Jessica an excellent successor, whom everyone will accept as worthy to take over the Ushinomiya family. That was a backflip. In the days to come, that greedy Ushinomiya Eva will probably be plotting to find some fault with the main family. And if all goes as she plans, Jessica will be dragged down from the succession, with George set up in her place. It is regrettable, but George is a man, and even more, has matured as a person. Compared to Jessica, who is right in the middle of her rebellious period, and whose grades are slightly below average, it can be seen at a glance who is more fit to succeed the head. So in order to secure Jessica's position, I need to turn her into an excellent person. Good luck. After doing that, I want to find her an excellent husband, worthy of the excellent person she will have become. A wonderful man who will truly accept Jessica and stay with her through all of life's joys and sorrows. Was Natsuhi trying to entrust her daughter with fulfilling some desire of her own? Gee, I wonder. Natsuhi thought back to the days when she had no choice but to marry into the Ushinomiya family, because of that unavoidable fate. She had tried to block that from her memory. She had consciously forgotten it, and had actively attended to the life she'd been given as Ushinomiya Natsuhi. And in so doing, she had built up a new life. But just now, it felt like all of that had been casually rejected. Lots of dots. How should I think as I live my life? I do not know. Natsuhi helplessly rested her head against the glass of the window. The glass, which was cool thanks to the raindrops beating against it, felt somehow refreshing. Even though it should have been emotionless, right then, it seemed to be the only thing that could understand Natsuhi. Oh glass, how I love you. You are the only thing that understands me. At that point, even if someone had appeared, Natsuhi didn't intend to pay any attention to them. But she did pay attention, because it was her beloved daughter. Ah. She doesn't look happy to see you. Oh, it's you, Mom. What the heck are you doing in a place like this? Thought you were a ghost. Or am I? Just like always, excuse me, I need to cough. Suffering from a bit of a cold as I read all this. Just like always, her words were rough, and not at all like a girl's. Instinctively, words of rebuke rose to Natsuhi's throat. However, their strength gave out, and they didn't escape her lips. Jessica, forgive me, but my headache is awful. Please leave me be. I see. Jessica was seeing her mother in a position of feebleness for the first time, so she was considerably disconcerted. Until just now, she'd been filled with contempt for all of the parents, including her mother. But now, those feelings had been completely swept away. Her mother's utterly exhausted face had wiped them all out. In its place, the words George had told her floated back up in her mind. Our parents are doing their best, in their own way. And because their families are counting on them, they can't afford to keep everything pleasant, and have a heavy responsibility to fight. maybe her mother had been standing around in this dimly lit hallway because no one had tried to understand that part of her. Jessica hated her mother. So she had no intention of speaking kindly to Natsuhi just because she was looking a bit frail. So when she attempted to speak kindly to her mother anyway, she had to clench her fists and gather up the words from deep in her heart. It sounds like you've really got your hands full with that meeting thing. It has nothing to do with you. Please go somewhere else. Leave me be. Is your headache bad? Should I get some medicine? You don't have to trouble yourself. Please, leave me alone. Natsuhi wasn't being cold. She just wanted her daughter to go far away so that she wouldn't have to bump against Natsuhi's own short temper. I'm not being cold, I just don't want you here. But there was no chance that Jessica would realize this. Oh, okay. Jessica hung her head, looking sad. Seeing that expression, Natsuhi recognized the kindness that Jessica was trying to muster. She gave her head a small shake to drive away her own unkind feelings. Then I'll leave. I'll be with the other cousins, so I don't get in the way of the adults. See you later. Wait there. She called Jessica, who was trying to leave and looked lonely, to a stop. What? Thank you for being so considerate. It isn't good of me to go to sleep and leave you alone. Don't talk like that. You'll bring bad luck. I've made you worried, but I'm okay now. I will go. If I let my daughter see me this feeble any longer, I'll only make her feel more uneasy. With that thought in mind, Natsuhi left Jessica with words of gratitude and made to depart. This time, Jessica called out to her mother's back. Natsuhi stopped and turned around, asking what business Jessica had with her. But Jessica herself didn't know why she'd stopped her mother. And for a while, she smiled wryly, muttering to herself as she hesitated over what to say. She was poking around in her pocket when her hand touched something, and she took it out. Hey, Mum. I was given a charm today. What was it? A charm against magic? I'm pretty sure that you were supposed to hang it from your doorknob, I think. I forget. There's no point in me having it, so I'll let you take it. It was the scorpion charm that Maria had given her on the beach. Although she'd heard of its various effects from Maria, Jessica's mind had gone blank, and she was just barely able to say even that much. Jessica, thinking that her mother probably wouldn't accept it anyway, immediately drew back the hand she had stuck out, grasping the charm. So when Natsuhi came back to take it, she was extremely shocked. What is this? Some kind of prize toy? Well, I think it's something like that. I guess you wouldn't really expect a charm that looks like a toy to do anything. But her mother took the charm from where she grasped it in her hand. Thank you. I'll take good care of it. Sometime soon, in exchange, why don't I give you a charm that was important to me when I was a child? It's not like that's why I gave it to you, Baka. But, well, if you really say so, then I will rest for now. My headache is awful. No, your family is awful. Try not to stay up too late. Sure. Natsuhi put the charm in her pocket and turned away. She then disappeared into the dark hall. It seems the weather will be like this all day tomorrow after all. Dang, this makes the good weather we had earlier feel like a lie. George, Aniki and I were killing time in front of the parlour television. At that point, Jessica returned. Her face was still blank, but it looked like she'd calmed down a little since we'd last seen her. Is Maria still in front of the portrait? Nope. She just came back, and she's sleeping over there on the sofa. It's getting pretty late for her after all. Looking at the clock, I saw it was a little past 10. Even if we were planning to stay up all night, it was about time to head back to our room. Well, my mum did have a room prepared for us in the mansion. What'll we do? I'd rather head back to the guest house. Going by what we saw of our parents, I think it'd be better if we weren't in the mansion. I agree. Feels like they're telling us kids to mind our own business and stay out of the way. Let's be good little boys and girls and do that. As we were talking about this, Aunt Rosa came into the parlour. She was looking all over restlessly, probably trying to find Maria. Aunt Rosa, if you're looking for Maria, she's over there on the sofa. Thank you. My, she's out cold. We must move her to a bed. If you'd like, I'll carry her over to a bed. Thanks, that would be wonderful. Are you all heading back to the guest house? Or are you going to stay in the room Natsuhine-san had prepared here? We were just talking about that. We'd just decided to head over to the guest house. I see. Then could I ask you to take Maria with you? I'd feel much more reassured if she stays with all of you cousins. Behind those words, she seemed to be concealing some regret that the adults, herself included, had deeply hurt Maria's feelings. I wonder how. Leave it to us, Aunt Rosa. After all, we do have an expert at comforting Maria with us. Are you talking about me? I couldn't do it myself. We'll need everyone together. Ah, George Aniki's so wholesome. That's right. Battler, weren't you the one who hit it off with Maria when you were messing around earlier? As we said this, Aunt Rosa smiled, looking truly happy. Thank you, everyone. It looks like our meeting will last until very late. So while I'm sorry to burden you like this, I'll be counting on you all to take care of Maria. Hey, Maria, are you sound asleep? We're going back to the guest house. Maria muttered something indistinct, rolled over, and fell back asleep. It looked like she was sleeping deeply. She's really out cold. I'd hate to wake her. Right, I'll carry her. Into the rain? Maria's body was much lighter than it looked. I lifted her up and put her on George Aniki's back. It was raining hard outside, and Aniki couldn't hold an umbrella and carry Maria at the same time. It looked like Aunt Rosa would come with us as far as the guest house to help out. However, when she heard Uncle Krause's voice call out to her, she had no choice but to return. Now that's a problem. I have to go back now. Is everyone returning to the guest house? After we left the hall on the way to the entrance, the door to the servant room opened and Shannon-chan stepped out. It has grown very dark, so allow me to guide you. That would be great, Shannon-chan. George-kun is going to carry Maria there. Could you hold an umbrella for him? Yes, certainly. Shannon-chan brought umbrellas for each of us and a flashlight to guide the way. As we opened the front door, the downpour was quite terrific. It looked like we wouldn't have any spare time to take a pleasant walk and enjoy the nighttime rose garden. You think? Aniki, is she too heavy? Want me to carry her? It's okay. I can at least carry Maria-chan. I'm truly grateful. Please take care of Maria. Sure, you got it. Then I guess this is good night, Aunt Rosa. And goodbye, ha ha ha. Then I will see them over there and return here. Yes, please. Aunt Rosa watched us leave. Maria, I'm sorry for everything. Rosa's mumbling voice didn't reach the person in question, nor any of the kids, but disappeared beneath the sound of rain. After cutting through the rainy rose garden, we arrived at the guest house. Ah, if only I'd applied for the position of Maria carrier. Then I would have gotten a chance to have Shannon-chan... No. That's not why I did it. It's a misunderstanding. I thought that if I didn't walk like this, George-sama would get all wet. Come on, quit babbling and go in. After being urged on by Jessica, we folded up our umbrellas and went into the guest house. Has anyone gotten their clothes wet? I can bring some towels if you want. You don't need to worry about us that much. Thanks, Shannon-chan. Ah, that's right. We were planning to play cards or something. Would you care to join us for a bit? Huh? Who had the night shift on today's schedule? I believe we had a special schedule during the family conference. Also, I think a few alterations have been made, so I will go and check. Wait, if you have to go all the way back to the mansion to find out, don't force yourself. Oh, that's all right. I can find out from the servant room in the guest house. Please excuse me for a short while. Shannon-chan gave a quick bow and went into the guest house servant room. The rest of us headed for the cousin room and decided to put Maria to bed for the time being. Maria was sleeping very deeply, and there was absolutely no sign of her eyes opening. For now, we'd get some soft drinks out of the room's refrigerator and drink those while playing cards or something. Is his arm always up like that? Oh. Kanon-kun, my bad. And you're here too, Genji-sama. Just had to take off my dress. What has happened with tonight's shift? Kraus-sama has given an order. He made some sizable changes to the shift schedule. Indeed. Goda-san now has the night shift at the mansion. Shannon and Kanon have the night shift in the guest house. Kumasawa-san and I have been ordered to sleep in the guest house. Just now, a phone call came saying that once you arrived, you were also to remain here for the rest of the night. Huh? That certainly is a sizable change. The shifts at the guest house and the mansion have been completely reversed, haven't they? Originally, Shannon and Kanon had been assigned the night shift in the mansion, while the night shift in the guest house, where all of the relatives were staying, had been assigned to Goda, who had an abundance of experience in entertaining. Long sentence. Kumasawa should have been sleeping at the guest house, while Genji should have been sleeping in the mansion. However, it seemed that Kraus had suddenly ordered that the schedule be modified. The shifts at the guest house and the mansion had been reversed. We just said this, and Genji was spending the night in the guest house. Stop repeating things, please. It's probably because of Beatrice-sama's letter. Why probably? After such a mysterious letter appeared, it was only natural that Kraus-sama would suspect one of us. We served directly under the master, so Kraus-sama tried as best he could to keep us far away from the family conference. Genji, Shannon and Kanon were all permitted to wear the Ushiromiya family crest, the one-winged eagle, as the servants who served directly under Kinzo. Of course, since they were working for the Ushiromiya family, they had to obey anyone's orders, but their only boss was Kinzo. Since only Kinzo held the right to employ them, even Kraus could not have them dismissed as of his own accord. Just said the same thing in 3 different sentences. God, it drives me nuts. Because of this, Kraus and the others often viewed these servants as Kinzo's underlings and shunned them. And in fact, Kinzo seldom let anyone other than them enter his study. This sudden shift change was probably a clear expression of the sense of mistrust that had caused. Considering the time Kinzo had left to live, this would definitely be the last family conference before the problem of the inheritance came up. On top of that, the mysterious letter that claimed to be from Beatrice had dropped in out of the blue. Kraus definitely wanted to keep Kinzo's loyal subjects away from the table of such a delicate and important discussion. If you'd excuse me, I will go rest. If anything happens, call me immediately. Our guest tonight is a special case, after all. Yes, certainly, Genji-sama. Genji nodded back, went behind a screen, took off his jacket and slowly began to relax after a day's worth of tension. The ones who just returned now, were they the children? Yes. The other relatives are having a conference in the mansion. It looked like it would drag on for quite some time. Seriously, you guys are the lucky ones. Then we've got it easy. It's already this late and there's this weather. The rest of the relatives will probably spend the night in their rooms in the mansion. Yes, probably. I'm only saying this because Genji-sama isn't around, but I'm a little happy I was sent to the guest house, I guess. Oh? Why's that? Because you can stay away from Madam and Eva-sama, those bullies? Or do you have another reason? It's not as though I have another reason. Baka. I see. Then let's do our best together with our night shift. I'm counting on you, Ne-san. Just now I was asked to go to the children's room and play with them. Shannon hung her head apologetically, gazing at Kanon uncertainly. Kanon didn't try to meet her eyes and spoke curtly as he sighed. It looked like he didn't plan on indulging his sister. You can't. You were assigned to the night shift. Besides which, it isn't necessary for furniture like us to respond to an invitation to play. You understand, right? Yes, I do understand. Shannon's shoulders drooped slightly. Get back to work. She had already expected that Kanon, a stickler for rules, would say something like that, but she still seemed a little discouraged. As Kanon flipped through a logbook, he spoke without facing Shannon. That means the children will be waiting for you. You'll have to apologize and tell them you have the night shift and won't be able to stay with them. Go and come back. Yes. I'll go and apologize and come back. Shannon hurriedly stood from her seat before her brother's mood could change and flew out of the servant room after giving a quick bow. She's older than him, why is he giving orders? As he watched her go, Kanon took a single deep breath. Genji's voice came from beyond the screen. Kanon, I will be here so you can go too. Genji-sama. Shannon was the only one called. Not as though I was invited. That is only because you were not there at the time. If you had been, you would have been invited as well. It is good to play as a child from time to time. Dots. Such a thing is not necessary for me. Human children may have a need to play, but we are furniture. Is that so? Ne-san is also furniture. Even if she pretends to be a person, it will only hurt her later. I understand that, so I try not to get too close to people, that's all. Genji did not say anything after that. After a while, he stood up and used a pot of hot water to make powdered cocoa, serving some to Kanon as well. Alright, I'm going to end this episode here. And we're going to find out what's for real in the next one. See ya.